And hello, welcome back to Make Mine Mayday. This time, I'm Zach Joyner, your friendly neighborhood host and webmaster of spidey-dude.com. And this time, we're going to be covering 4 issues here on this episode. But before we get started, I wanted to thank our Patreon subscribers, Vigman, Scott, Jurgen, Greg, and our newest subscriber, Joyce. Be sure to check out the page at patreon.com/Spidey Network, where the first 3 episodes of our newest podcast, Voices from the Area Gargoyles podcast, are up and available for you to download on the Patreon page. But coming soon, in fact, coming on September 24th, the show will be debuting for everyone on our front page at spidey-dude.com. So, new show debuting, and we are very, very excited. But of course, this is Make Mine Mayday. This time we're going to be covering issues 71 through 74 here. And of course, as always, I'm joined by Kelly.
Hi, guys.
A very crystal clear Kelly, because she upgraded her internet.
Well, I didn't upgrade it. It just finally got upgraded, and now I have to pay more money. But
I understand.
If it works, it works.
Hopefully,
so there we go.
Hopefully, no technical issues. I'm not using the soundboard tonight, so hopefully that will mitigate some of those problems. So
we will see. Also, last recording for us
yes.
for the month of September, because I'm taking vacation, which is also why there will be 2 episodes recording on the crawl space on Saturday, because someone waited to the last minute, but that's okay.
Well, so
I'm gonna buy a bunch of Red Bull. Somebody wants to gift me Red Bull.
That's a marathon. That's almost as much of a marathon as I'm about to partake of. The reason we're recording this on Wednesday and not Thursday is because I am going to be traveling back to my hometown to pick up my car so I can then drive from my hometown to my new hometown to go see my daughter and my wife. And that's a 10-hour drive to my hometown in this particular method of transportation we're taking. And then I have to pick up my mother-in-law, and she's going to stay with my wife for a couple of weeks. And so, I'm going to be behind the wheel a lot.
Yeah.
I'm having a great day, though.
That's good.
They announced the JMD Mateus, Ben Riley stuff. I'll talk about.
I was gonna say, I was waiting for someone to be like, "Oh, are you wearing this shirt for that reason?" Which, no, I am not. It's been really bugging me with the photo that, the cover that they're using.
Yeah.
Because it looks straight up amazing. Spider-Girl with the eyes and, of course, suit. But obviously, it's definitely not May, but it keeps tripping me up.
Right. Well, that's the first time Steve Skaros has drawn Spider-Man since 1996.
I know.
So I thought it was Todd Knock, honestly.
It does look a little like Todd Knock. It's very it looks great, and I've seen little bits of the solicits here and there. As I think everyone knows by now, I try to avoid some of the Spider-Man topics on social media right now because I'm getting tired of the movie situation. Because I don't know how many times I have to say that looks fake. That that looks clearly photoshopped. You're a liar. You're crazy. And then it like the guy that made the Andrew Garfield deepfake literally came out with the video showing how he made said deepfake. And everybody is sitting here going, the deepfake is fake. No, it's not.
Again, people need to manage, and I'll talk about. I will definitely talk about this on experience, but just briefly, people need to manage their expectations.
No,
because they're just setting themselves up for another WandaVision to be disappointed, like a lot of people were with WandaVision when it didn't go exactly how they wanted it in their headcanon.
Well, I mean, you remember I was getting so frustrated because I could see kind of where they were trying to go, and there was no way to fit mutants in that. And the amount of people that kept shoving this mutant theory down my throat made me so mad that I literally walked away from a show because I could not stay on and deal with that. Like, it was frustrating. And this is kind of where we're going, where it's like, I don't want to even be in the same room as these people. I don't want to have to see them get angry because their fan service and their need to feel seen and heard
Right.
is not given exactly the way they want it. Because it's not going to happen. Like one of the major things in the trailer literally says, "Be careful what you wish for." Like,
If you want to go to a better community to talk about spider
yeah,
things, go to r/Spider Girl.
there you go.
That's a good Reddit page to go. I listen again. I'll talk about the Ben Riley stuff and the Jamie Mateus stuff all on Spider Experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, also weird anniversary today. This was the day that our site went down, and I just want to say publicly, thank you to everybody for the support that you guys have given me the last year as we launched Spidey Dude Experience, as we ended up launching this show. You guys have always been just so supportive. Guys like Vinkman, you've been our biggest supporter from day one. And I just really am super thankful for you and your support and just how you've supported this show and all of our shows here on the Spider Network. Also, obviously the Patreon subscribers are huge, and thank you. And I'm really excited for Voices from the Area. I can't wait for everybody to listen to the first few episodes. We're up to episode 4 in terms of in the canon edited, so I'm really excited about that. Greg's excited too, both of them, Greg and Greg. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really super stoked. But
I would also want us to thank everybody that did help us out during
yes.
that time.
Yes.
Whether it was donating their talents, like
Ron
Friends.
I was going through my time hop. I'm not kidding. I was going through the time hop, and it came upon the screen grab that I took of us just in pure and utter shock. And listen, Ron Friends, we say he's a friend of the show, but at that moment, he really just met and exceeded anything we ever expected out of anything that we ever did with them. And so, cannot wait to have him on this show sooner rather than later. But we got to get our schedules kind of straightened out before I can commit to something like that. But
yeah, we need to get back on a regular schedule. I know I need to get over this busy work season for me, and you need to get kind of settled in.
Yeah, hopefully, maybe back down to Houston and be in Houston. So
hopefully,
fingers crossed. But thanks. Ryan says you're very welcome. You're welcome. Always happy to help. Thank you guys again.
Thank you guys.
So with that, there was an update to Marvel Unlimited.
Yeah, I kind of want to. Okay,
I'm going to let you rant.
I have mixed feelings on it. Like, yes, it looks very, very pretty, and the updated search filters are a little bit smarter. So, now it's not so hard. Like, you don't have to type in the exact title to find exactly what you're looking for. However, everything has been wiped. So anything that you have saved or downloaded is gone. It's not there anymore. Anything, like, I know that they used to track your most read titles and give you recommendations on that. I believe they're still going to do that, but that information has been completely wiped, and you kind of have to start all over again. I don't particularly like the new logo. I don't like the look of it. It looks a little weird. But that's nitpicky on my end. It just doesn't feel Marvel. It honestly looks like a Disney mobile game app, and it probably came from Yellow Shoes, to be honest.
True.
So maybe that's what's happening. I don't know, but I understand needing to update the app. It was time for an update. It was just completely a pain. And then I do have some problems where if you type in Spider-Girl, Mayday pops up. She pops up completely. And she's the first character you see. However, when you type in just Spider-Girl looking for the comic, this comic is sitting almost dead bottom, and they're trying to push Anya. But of course, when you type it in, Anya doesn't show up as the character at all. You have to like type in Anya to get Anya. It's very weird. I have that. And then also too, they do this big giant update, because of course I know you guys want to hear me say this. They do this big giant update and they can't add the last 5 issues of J2 back to his roster. Like we kept saying justice for J2 and it fell on deaf ears. I mean, they had this huge update that they could have just snuck those in. Still didn't do it.
Like, use the hashtag justice for J2 on Twitter. Let's get it trending. Just for reasons.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if we can, let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah. You know, it's funny because we'll be talking a little bit more about J2 here in a minute. But yeah, as Kelly mentioned, this is our last recording for September for Make My Mayday. By the end of the month, all of the audio episodes will be updated and ready to go for not only this, but also for Spider Experience. I'm still working on some, not really edits on this show, but on SDE, and trying to get all the other back end stuff and trying to get everything prepared for our launch for Voices from the Eerie, as well as I'm hoping by the end of October we'll have all of the episodes of ASM Classics up for season 1 and get started on season 2 later on this fall. So more stuff to go, but a lot of audio stuff. So, but we're gonna get started. This time I get to start the recaps.
Yeah, because I particularly wanted 73 and 74 for reasons.
All right, we'll see here momentarily. So we're going to start with this issue 71 breakdown. It is titled "Eye of the Beholder." It is written by Tom DeFalco, drawn by Pat Olive. Welcome back, Pat. Inked by Sal Buscema. Released on March 3rd, 2004. Cover dated for May of 2004. So our issue opens up with J2 attacking the air. He's got someone's car and they're pretty upset. Mayday flies in, questioning things, but J2 tells her there's demons everywhere, but she can't see it either. Suddenly, her spider sense goes off. She dodges an attack. She connects and hits something. She decides that she's going to trust her instincts now. And so over several panels, we get her fighting the air. She thinks that they're leaving because her spider sense is tingling a little bit less than before, but J2 realizes that she did not see people physically. And of course, the population surrounding everybody or surrounding them are not happy about what's going on. J2 assures everyone that there's going to be enough insurance to cover the damages, which I cannot imagine how big that insurance policy is.
Wait. Remember, in J2, we do talk about how high everyone's premiums are in New York City.
Go back to that J2 episode and listen. And it'd be good to kind of get a refresher because it's going to kind of tie into this issue.
It is.
So he before Mayday leaves, J2 asks, "Hey, can you give me directions to Midtown High?" He's going to be meeting a friend there. We cut to the buzzes. The buzzes. It put buzzards because it auto-corrected on me.
I did not auto-correct that either because I could have fixed it when I saw it and I didn't because I was like, I'm leaving that in because I assumed you wrote it that way.
No, we're gonna call the team of Richie and JJ the buzzers.
Yeah, they're the buzzers.
They're the buzzers now.
It's the buzzer van.
The buzzer battle van.
The buzzer battle van, or the mysterious van that someone should write free candy on.
the panel, the windowless van.
So
the only thing that's missing is the mystery machine. I mean, zoinks.
Yeah. There you go.
Fortunately, they're owned by DC, so you can't put that on there. But Pat Olive did draw Scooby Incorporated for DC. Yeah, Pat did draw that. Wow, I pulled that out of thin air. We see Richie and JD discover that the spider tracer that May had planted on him a couple issues ago. Richie examines it and determines that it's pretty highly sophisticated tech, but it's also sort of ancient. They assert that they could possibly use it to retrace it back to her and possibly, maybe, discover her secret identity. May calls Stinger to kind of give a bit of a report, Stinger calls May to kind of give a report of what's going on because there's a lot of people that are very unhappy at this precise moment because there's a lot of property damage and she needs to give a statement. And so everyone's confused. May's like, I don't know what happened. All I know I was hitting something. There's not much for me to talk about other than I hit something, but I couldn't see it. So upon leaving the locker room, she runs into Jimmy and his cousin Zane. Turns out they're going to be heading to the spider shop later, and they decide to invite May. Brad shows up, tries to act all macho, says she's got plans, but May brushes him off, as we obviously know that Brad...
But also, did he actually talk to her about that? Because
Yeah.
you can't just...
He was trying to be slick. He really was.
But consent is a thing.
This is true. We all know Brad's a horrible person.
It's true. I'm just gonna keep reminding everybody about that. Yeah.
So we then cut back to JJ and Richie with their gizmo. It goes off right next to the Midtown Police Department, which is of course a problem considering all the circumstances with the buzz. And for those that may not recall, the spider tracers are tuned not to Mayday spider sense, but to Peter's. This is somewhat important. We'll get back to it in a minute. We cut back to the spider shop where Zane feels insanely jealous over the fact that this exists, and he wishes that J2 had one. We find out that Jimmy is a Thunderstrike fan. Oh, poor Zane. He can't even get his cousin to be a fan of him. Zane decides to make the awkward excuse and leaves. May contemplates getting a Spidey bag for her civvies, thinking that it would be, useful, but also she wants to see the look on her father's face if she decided to buy it. Zane decides to use a actual real life payphone. These mostly don't exist anymore. He decides to use it to call May. Of course, she's like,
okay, but this is before. I mean, this was smart to actually truly hide yourself.
This is true. So I'm glad he had change in his pocket.
This is true.
So May kind of comments, "Hey, your voice sounds a little different," and we get a nice side-by-side panel of the two of them suiting up. He talks about, I'll don't worry about your statement. We'll take care of it later. I am an Avenger after all. So we are then introduced, or at least I'm introduced, to Deacon's Den for the first time when I was reading this when I was 14. And I was introduced to Magus for the first time. Hooray! The trio, Magus gets filled in from J2 and May what's going on. And the trio go up to the rooftop where Doc starts to theorize that J2 was the only one not affected by the spell. So they kind of spread out. May's like, isn't he going to, run off and spread out? But no, Doc is using astral projection while J2 and May obviously spread out. May is very confused. She's very confused by all of this. This is a common theme. I could put May as confused after every scene, and it would pretty much, adequately portray her inner thoughts. This is where
she is confused, but I think same scene, the juxtaposition though with JJ ranting to Richie about his non-crush
yes,
on how Spider-Girl always stays so cool, when really it's just because she's like her father, and when she's freaking out, she has to be sarcastic. That's literally it. So it's it's more she internalizes her confusion and panic.
Vinkman does have a comment. I bet Kelly wishes the spider shop existed in real life. Yes, no, maybe, of course.
Yeah, if it was actual Spider-Girl things, because even in the spider shop, it looked more like Spider-Man stuff.
Spidery things.
Yeah, it's just spidery things, and see, I'm going to a spider shop, sort of, at Islands of Adventure, because that gift shop for the ride is still very much Spider-Man everything. So
sweet.
Right? They have a Spirit jersey.
Nice. All right. Again, Brad is trash.
Brad
Ah,
Miller is trash.
Brad Miller specifically.
We do need to keep
Not
saying that so we don't get in trouble later, because someone could splice us up and just start
not
things.
anybody really named like in real life Brad. No, it's not that.
Yes,
It's
Brad
Brad
Miller.
Miller is trash.
Now, if there is a guy out there listening whose name is Brad Miller, I'm sorry to tell you, but you might be trash.
Or at least your namesake's trash.
Your namesake. Well, I'd
Or
hope they weren't named after Brad
I would
Miller
hope
in the
so.
comics.
It's a small world after all. You're not going to that one though.
No. I'm going to the one that, actually cares about their customers. Anyway.
Oh no.
Oh.
All right. So May starts to swing around. Ryan Reed says when he makes his perler bead, I'll over melt it. Oh,
No,
man,
you make
Ryan.
it, you take the photo, and then you just show yourself burning it.
There you go.
Yeah. It's
Send
cathartic.
me the video and I'll play it on the show. I can do that. But don't do vertical video. All right. So May swings around, makes some topical references that are especially from the day. Talk about David Blaine specifically. He's still a magician, so he's still doing things.
Oh, he's still alive?
He's still alive. He hasn't murdered himself via his crazy stunts that he pulls.
No one from Gen Z understands what we're saying right now.
Look up David Blaine.
Yeah.
And on YouTube, and there will be plenty of material for you to go through. He was basically, and the best way I could explain it.
He was the early 2000s magician that wasn't Chris Angel.
Yeah, I was just going to call him the extreme magician because like every act he had to do was like
Chris
extreme.
Angel was the extreme one.
Okay, there's two different types of extreme. There's the like pushing your body to the limits extreme that Blaine did, and then you have Chris Angel who is extreme because he's just like
gross.
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. I couldn't think of a better alternative adjective. Chris Angel's gross. Okay. So, and apparently all supporting cast members that will be in the next NC2 in a couple weeks for Perla Beads. So thanks Ryan. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Follow him on Instagram. Put your Instagram in there and we'll put it up on the screen. For those of I forgot to give my disclaimer. Of course, we're live streaming this if you're listening to the audio version, and yeah. So, all right, she did May detects something, and so she starts kind of, following her spider sense, and then she sticks her arm out, and it looks like her arm's been severed. What? No. Herc78 on Instagram. Follow Ryan Reed there. Dr. Ryan Reed there. Got to use the proper term.
He worked hard for that.
He worked. Listen, I have watched him throughout the years work for that journey, and it was very satisfying as someone that's watched him work very hard to achieve that achievement, and so that's really cool. So all right. Mere moments later, the trio are transported to another dimension. It's revealed that it's Nemesis, last seen in J2 number 12, and he's still mad at Doc and J2 for some reason. It's because these two guys keep defeating him over and over again. The trio fight, and May is staying composed on the outside, but internally she is freaking out. J2 grabs this big giant stick and swings it and knocks some baddies out, but in the process slimes Mayday. It's pretty gross for May, and it smells pretty rank. Meanwhile, we juxtapose with Peter still being not stacked, by the Buzz guys. They have it convinced that the young officer who is telling Peter about the property damage, she comes in and says, "Hey, have you noticed anything going on?" They walk out together, and the two of them only see the female officer, so they're just like under the assumption that it's her. And she's telling Peter about the property damage that was done from earlier, how it was Spider Girl and J2. And Peter's kind of skeptical a little bit, but his spider sense keeps going off, and he's trying to figure out where it's coming from. Meanwhile, May and J2 decide that J2 is like, "Do you see this big giant doohickey off in the distance?" May, of course, can't see it. So he's like, "Well, let's just do our fastball special." And so he throws her towards it, and she webs up her arm and uses the webbed up arm to destroy the device. And in an instant, goes from not seeing just Doc and J2 to seeing the entire monster horde. This causes her to see everything. Once this was down, this was like the shields going down, so to speak, and the trio decided to nope out of there. Doc uses some spells to seal things off, and more or less the day is saved. When they get out of this dimension, they get transported into an alley. The person who owns the alley, or owns the building in front of the alley, yells at them due to the property damage that they caused earlier. May slinks off. J2 is there to kind of try to quell the situation and assure him that there's going to be no more property damage. She then heads home, where when she gets home, she realizes she just wants nothing but a nice warm bath. And Peter's in her room going, "You got some explaining to do, Lucy." So Peter wants her to explain herself, how she caused hundreds of thousands of dollars of property damage. And then May just kind of looks at the reader, kind of in that classic sitcom, like,
breaks the fourth wall.
Breaks the fourth wall for a second. And that is the end of the issue. So I turn it over to Kelly. Kelly, what
so thoughts? Do I want to comment on the cover or not? Because this is kind of where the covers are slightly not my favorite.
Okay, so this is like the last several issues. If you're looking on Marvel Unlimited, or I've got the issues in front of you, and you like set them out, they're very poster.
Yeah, but this one is kind of the one. Like, this is one that unfortunately I generally don't reread this issue as much as I should, because I love the story. It's very cute. It's just the cover is a little awkward, and I might call it the pole dancing cover, because it looks like a pole.
When I saw that in the notes today,
I don't think I'm wrong, but I feel like I need to at least say it, and I'm not trying to make people feel weird or bad.
Okay,
it's an awkward cover.
Ron was going through some stuff, he told me. Okay. I don't know.
I'm not sitting here I'm just saying that it's just
it is cheesecakey.
It's a slightly weird cover to me.
It's very indicative of its era, truth be told.
Yes,
if you go through any female-led title, it was the cheesecake was the expectation.
But it's
unfortunately,
it's a teenage girl.
I agree.
I just it's nothing like, because clearly it's on the on a web. It's just that web is very straight, and
yeah, I don't. This is like one of my least favorite covers, and it's funny because one of my favorites comes up later.
Exactly. I just feel like I need to mention the slightly awkward cover, because I feel like if someone's reading along with us, it might be something that they're thinking twice about. I don't know. I just feel like I have to say it. I feel bad. But going back to the story, I was like, I didn't realize just how dated Magnus's little speech was, where he's introducing himself to May, until rereading it this morning and going, because I think that's where I was like, the TiVo back when TiVo was such a big deal and brand new and not in everybody's cable box, and now people don't even have cable.
DVRs. I mean, now it's all in the cloud. I mean, just how far technology has come since the advent of TiVo. I mean, folks.
In fairness, this was 2003, so
we're just old.
This is almost 20 years old.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
god.
yeah.
Anyway, sorry. But yeah, and then of course, like I said, like, does anyone know who David Blaine is anymore? Which we've already covered. Let's see. Yeah, he mentions Punk. Then May mentions Punked and Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah, the Jamie Kennedy Experiment. That was a show on CW, wasn't it? I forgot about that.
Well, it wasn't CW because CW didn't start until 2009, so it was still
Oh,
WB.
yeah, it was still
But
WB.
yeah, but see, like, even the line though makes it sound like Jamie Kennedy was a part of Punked, and that's not true. It was Dax Shepard, who
Yeah.
married Kristen Bell, who was Veronica Mars at this point in time.
Well, it was started by Ashton
Um,
Kutcher, wasn't it?
well, yeah,
Punk was.
Punked is Ashton Kutcher, yeah, and
Mm,
he's the one he hired Dax and a couple other
that's right. That's how
comedians,
Dax
but
got
like
kind of
Jamie Kennedy then had his own show very similar.
right.
Yeah.
Right. There were yeah. That was like during the era of like let's do what is that candid camera, but like
Yeah, well, I mean, they still do
modern.
it. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, there's still, I think there's like Impractical Jokers or something. Like, it still happens. There's still
Yeah.
shows. Um, but
That's a
yeah, like
whole
that was like
subgenre.
the big thing. And then of course like, I guess my thing is I was trying to, like, in my notes write how, like, I don't have a whole lot of notes for this issue just because Mystic stuff isn't really all my, like, it's not my jam when it comes to Spidey comics, which I know is very strange. Why wouldn't I like Mystic
Because you like
stuff?
spooky things,
I do like spooky things, just not with my spider people.
right?
Because I can't trust it with my spider people. But
Oh,
this is a really fun romp with J2, and you got to know we all love J2 because justice for J2, and yeah, then I just have my rant about the justice for J2. But I really liked the second story a lot here. I liked JJ and Richie finding the spider tracer and reworking it. Like, they managed to rework it and find a spider, the spider it actually works on, which is Peter, but they don't know it. And just
it
seeing,
is
like,
kind of humorous.
yeah, and just seeing JJ kind of protesting too much a little bit about how he feels about Spider Girl, because it's very clear he's very much watching her closely. And I think I wrote it's a little bit of like a Helga G. Pataki thing going on, where
That would be a
he's,
Hey Arnold reference for all
yeah,
you Gen
hey
Zers.
Arnold, yeah.
Oh God, they're
But
old.
like it's just, he's so annoyed at how much he likes her is really what it gets down to.
Yes.
And so, it's just really funny to me. And then of course I kind of wanted more from that story. Like, it would have been really funny if Peter had figured out that it was two kids in a van, and like maybe realized it was JJ, because I assume by now he knows JJ's the Buzz
And
from
I would
May.
assume that he would have met Richie because him and Randy were friends.
Yeah, but
So it would have been like, oh look,
when did Randy die here though? Because like Richie was
oh
a
that's
kid.
a good question.
So again, but my thing is just it's like I would assume by now he knows,
Did
from May that JJ is the Buzz, and
this is where I wish I had Frogo. Did Randy die too, or was it just Robbie?
so you're right. I don't
I
know.
think I,
We
I,
don't really see Richie's family,
that's
so
true. That'd
maybe
be kind of.
I might be misremembering that. I don't know. I
I know
thought,
we know Robbie's dead
yeah,
because that's what um, he was killed by Doc Ock, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be well. Yeah, I mean, I would assume Peter would know both of them.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, I don't think
Right.
he would know that Richie is the man in the chair for JJ, because
Right. He would just be able to
like,
recognize them just as like people. That's
yeah.
interesting.
So, but
You're
anyway,
right though.
I just think it would be really funny if he had realized like what had
I s-
happened, because I feel like that would have been a more funny argument conversation of saying, okay, so you used a spider tracer but you didn't get it back.
right.
Because like this
Yeah.
actually is like that's actually a serious situation, because if JJ and Richie realized that Peter was there, that
Right.
would have outed both of them. ultimately, because they would have realized that that was May's dad. And why is it connecting to May's dad?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
No, that
it's a really close call, and I almost want more out of that.
right.
Even though I like both stories, it's just, as funny as it is, that could have had very serious implications had that been explored more. And I would have loved to have seen it. I don't
Right.
know. That's really my thoughts on it.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. Like, I think yeah, I think that there was some meat left on the bone here.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not that I don't don't dislike the issue, and I think we both love it. First of all, welcome back, Pat. It's always good to
Yeah.
have Pat pop in. I think if I'm remembering correctly, I think there may be one more issue after this episode where he
There's a
does.
few, because I have one, I think 74 is
Yeah.
also by Pat. Then there's the one after the engagement party.
Okay. I knew there was
And then,
only
of
like a
course,
handful
yeah,
left with
it's
that.
only a handful, but there's a few. And then, if at least in terms of Spider Girl, I'm not sure if any.
I don't think he did any amazing. I think Ron and Tom did
No,
all
no,
the
no, no, no.
amazing
I'm
art.
talking about, but like, I can't remember who drew Last Hero and Last Planet.
Okay, so he drew Last Hero Standing.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, he drew,
So
and I think he did both. I think he did Last Hero and Last Planet.
yeah,
Yeah,
so we'll see a lot more of Pat
yeah,
coming
yeah.
up.
Pat's
So
Pat's not gone forever.
no.
So yeah, I, I I think your final thought was issue is cute. uh, uh,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. Well, yeah, but like I said, I think my main stuff, especially going back and rereading this, is just like, man, that second story would have been a lot of fun if we had gotten just a little bit more.
I agree
But
with
it
that.
does raise very serious implications if the teenage boys were a little bit smarter.
Yeah, Vinkman does confirm Pat did both of
Yeah,
those miniseries, which we'll cover in future episodes.
we will,
Uh,
because it doesn't come in until the 80s.
yes, and we'll
So,
talk about how all that happened. Yeah, so for me, this was my first time seeing Doc and J2 when I was collecting originally. So, like, rereading this, I got a little bit of nostalgia. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. Like, I had read the preview of J2 when it first came out, obviously, as I talked about in the J2 episode. But it wasn't until years later, obviously, that I read the entire run. So it's nice to kind of revisit this in my brain here. Really enjoyed uh, this is where I wish I had my individual issues with me instead of having to read them on Marvel Unlimited, because Marvel Unlimited doesn't give me the letters pages. I know I've got a letter coming up in one of these issues between here and 80. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I thought Pat's artwork was really great. Sal's inks are exceptional here. Uh, the cover is probably my least favorite thing about the issue. I'm not going to lie.
yeah.
But I will say this: I did not feel overwhelmed reading this issue coming into it like May did.
Mhm.
Um, it was very easy for me to pick up and understand what's going on. But if you went back and read the J2 issues, you definitely have a greater appreciation for this issue now that I've went recently, very recently, and reread that and reading it here. So, very good issue. The scripting is very good. The JJ and Richie are kind of funny, and this is my first. I think the first time
They're
we're seeing
they're a dynamic duo we just don't get enough of.
right, and the fact that they got their own subplot drawn by Pat here was kind of fun too, for
Mhm.
me at least. Because normally when they showed up, it was usually accompanied by Ron. So getting to see um, Pat kind of do things was kind of cool. Also, I dig the hairstyle with Pat here. Um, so this is his first time drawing that new hairstyle that
Mhm.
we got a couple issues ago. So that's kind of good. Um, I love that this is going to be an ongoing. The slimed costume is going to be an ongoing subplot for the rest of this episode.
It's not even slime. Just the costume gets trashed. The,
Yeah,
this entire episode in our review is just all about
wardrobe mishaps.
How much damage May does to her clothes. She's not. She doesn't take care of the suit as well as she should. So that's
Which
kind of what
leads
we're
to
seeing.
problems later, but we know where it's going.
Yeah.
Longtime readers know where it's going. But so like I say, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this issue a lot. I don't have a ton of notes on it because it just is a really enjoyable kind of one and done issue, but not. It's definitely part of the ongoing narrative. And these issues are one and done considered because I don't have the part 1 of 2 or part 1 of 4, but they really are done in that classic style where little nuggets get picked up throughout the issues. And so I'm ready to jump to 72 if you're ready for me to do that.
Let's go.
All right. So Tom, issue 72, Tom DeFalco, Ron Friends, Sal Buscema are the team. Cover dated for June of 2004, released on April 7th, 2004. We're only going to have one more month of cover dates because the next 2 issues came out the same month. So I don't remember why. I tried looking that up and I just don't remember why. There was 2 issues in July. So this issue opens up with Lady Ock roughing up a warehouse owned by a guy named Handsome Richie. She's deciding that she wants to propose an arrangement. Her technology and resources for some cash because she needs some cash. Meanwhile, we cut back to the Parker residence where MJ finds May's costume, and it's pretty rank from last issue. She proposes that she'll have to wash it for her. The two head downstairs where we see Peter Parker struggling. You know, he didn't struggle to defeat the Vulture or Doc Ock, but he is struggling feeding his own child breakfast. Benji is getting the upper hand here, and it shows because he's got food all over his face. Oh, I don't miss those days. So the two, May and Peter, discuss Lady Ock. May doesn't go into explicit detail, but she kind of hopes that the Avengers are going to take her out. And Peter's kind of relieved because he talked to her about how difficult that he had of a time with Doc Ock in the past and with Lady Ock, because obviously they fought each other during the Clone Saga. So May decides to head to school, where we see that Lady Ock is front page news. JJ proposes that the Buzz will come in and take her out. Real subtle, JJ. Real subtle. But Moose, not obviously knowing what's going on, completely disagrees and says, like, they're in cahoots with each other. What are you talking about? JJ then, he decides to remind everybody that maybe you shouldn't pay attention to everything you read. It's a very good lesson for life, kids. So May kind of smirks and says, you know what? I kind of hope Buzz will take her out. Just as a guy named Chris walks up to talk to her, May gets a call.
We get his last name in this issue.
We do. Did they finally get the last name? I didn't notice that.
Yep.
So it's Chris Jerker. Yeah, boy, did I butcher that. Sorry, John. Oh, my bad. So it is. It's Sebro. He's got a message for May. He tells May that about Lady Ock attacking Handsome Richie today, and that someone from a European crime family wants to check in on Normie Osborn.
Well, I don't think it said crime family. I think it said something about a sector, European sector.
European sector, that's right. That he didn't say crime family.
It's just we assume it's crime family because I was rereading that, kind of picking at what he says exactly. Because the thing is that he doesn't say anything that would mislead her. She's just putting it, but it's almost like he knows it's going to cause her to panic, which I'll get into in my stuff.
Yeah. He does specifically. I just pulled the issue up just to double check myself, and it says it seems a European crime cartel has been making some recent inquiries.
Yeah, because it was never a family.
Yeah,
specifically. because
You're right. It wasn't a family. So it was a
yeah,
European crime cartel. And this kind of shakes May up because obviously her relationship with Normie. May, during this conversation, May questions the motives of like, why is Black Tarantula helping me? Like, why did. And he's like, it's just because,
well,
he
too,
thinks,
you realize she's not talking to Fabian at any point in time here either.
yeah.
It's always one person. It's always through the middleman.
Yes. And it's Cespero.
Yes, yeah.
I butchered his name in my notes too. So, like she's got her guard up here because why does Fabian want to help? It's strange to her. So she heads back to the house. As soon as the dismissal bells ring, and May's costume is still being hung up to dry. So then she decides that she'll help this situation along.
I don't even know how she did this because spandex doesn't work. Like,
she must have dried it like
this
on
is talent
extra hot
for 30 minutes, but also like this might, where a lot of alternative like universe writers will write May as a mutant or Annie as a mutant. This is May's Latin mutant power is can't do laundry.
But yeah. So she decides to use the dryer to speed things up along, and it's a bad move because it literally shrinks the costume. She goes to check on Normie, and that's when she finds Brenda. Oh Lord. Brenda decides that she wants to take things to the next level and propose. May, was like, trust your instincts.
I feel like she was more convincing than that, but yeah.
Go for it, girl, and give my best to Normie. Bye. Swings off a little slightly upset, because she doesn't know how to react. She goes to Valentine Motors and to kind of find Handsome Richie and take things out and decides to try to get some answers about the Handsome Richie situation. But of course, who's there but Lady Ock? And she gets a Lady Ock for her troubles. The two of them briefly fight. She decides to use stingers. Now, Ock avoids them and was able to pull her arms up because, she realizes that they're from the original Spidey. So this is the point where she truly makes the connection that there is something between Spider-Girl and Spider-Man. There is a connection there. She throws May into the garage where, of course, she has to fight her way out of the situation because Handsome Richie just assumes that they're in cahoots together because, classic superhero misunderstanding. And so May starts to fight her way out of it. And usually this is not an issue for May, but her costume rips into some unfortunate places. Her ribs, the seat of her pants, and even her toe.
Again, how?
I don't
I want to know how she managed this. This is a mutant power. Like, not being able to do laundry this badly is a mutant power.
Like, she's fighting these goons and like her toe comes out of her boot. The side of the seam right here on the side rips. Yeah. So we cut back to the hospital and Brenda has literally just, poured out her heart and soul to Normie. And Normie's like, we need to talk.
Okay. He paused it a little bit. There was a pause.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a clear pause where he's like, I don't know.
Like, Normie doesn't know what to say here. Let's be real. I'm just being cheeky. He goes, Brenda,
yeah.
We need to talk. There's a pregnant pause between Brenda and I, and we need to talk. So I think Normie doesn't know how to react in this kind of the situation. Cut back to the fight where May is still, she's still holding her own. Keeps fighting these guys and is doing pretty well. She's taking out most of the guys. And the guy's about to sneak up on her as she's repairing her boot. when she sits there and knocks him out. She realizes that after she takes out the last remaining guys, that there's Handsome Richie. She's about to go after him, and he is like, "Please don't hit me, not the face, anything but the face." And sitting there, still claiming, still thinking that May and Ak are in cahoots with one another, still not realizing that's her enemy. And just as he's about to close his eyes like this, she takes off because she's had enough of him. So she's like, "Look, what a day! I can't wait to get back to my parents." Guess who's at the rooftop again? It's Lady Ock. And so Lady Ock then grabs her, and this time May is like, "I am sick of your crap," and throws her on the ground, face first. This kind of causes Ock to be a little upset, so she starts hammering Normie with tentacles.
Normie?
Rolling, not Normie. Mayday starts hammering Mayday with the tentacles, and kind of picks up the chunk of the roof and starts using that to put her in a fruit roll-up style situation. And she's like, "You're going to die at my hands. You've always been destined to die." My only question is when. And so she throws her against the wall, and May is starting to, still get her strength and resolve when her phone rings. She realizes that Ock has left the building again. So May is like, "Oh, Cesbro, calling to stick it to me," because he's like, because it's this weird thing where every time he calls, it's like right after a situation. He's like, "Oh, I trust,"
Almost as if he's monitoring her.
almost as if he's watching her all the time. He's like, "I trust that your meeting with Lady Octopus did not go so well." She's like, "Are you just here to rub it in?" And he's like trying to remind her that, hey, you can always call the master if you're ever truly in distress. So she's like, "What's the situation with Osborn?" And that he's only knows that the threat to young Osborn comes from someone whose reach is extended beyond the grave, which gives her no answers, of course. And so he hangs up, and the issue ends with Fabian, getting his good workout in, saying, "The lady grows more agitated, sir." And he's like, "Well, this is all part of uh, May is just a pawn in his plan, but she is rather enticing." No, 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 Fabian, no. The end for now.
Yeah.
Kelly, your thoughts.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't realize like how long of this crazy rant I actually wrote.
She just got
This is
into
crazy. I wrote this at like 8 a.m. though too. So so this is, I don't think that I was running on all cylinders, but
the coffee had not kicked in yet.
the coffee had not kicked in. My pumpkin spice latte was not fully in my bloodstream.
I went to Starbucks the other day, and they were out of pumpkin spice, and they're like, "So before we get started," because there's like me and two other dudes walking in, they're like, "Before we get started, we're out of pumpkin spice." I was like, "Well, I'm not super basic." So
it's good. So
listen,
don't
I'm not going to mock anybody.
On the,
I'm not hating on pumpkin spice.
Why are you hating on the pumpkin spice? Let the spice flow.
Listen,
it's good.
People lose their ever loving mind over pumpkin spice, and
yeah,
you know what?
It's good.
Great. I just never saw the appeal. I'm not a huge coffee drinker, to be fair.
You can get it without the coffee. In fact, you can put chai, do a pumpkin spice chai.
That's fair. That's fair.
Anyway, before we have Make My Mayday civil war over pumpkin spice.
Are you Team Iron Man or am I?
You're Iron Man because you hate pumpkin spice.
Okay, I'll be Iron Man. You can be Cap.
Anyway, I'm gonna be slightly a Debbie Downer here on the Brenda Normie relationship, and I feel like I have to say that because I have been I have been told that I have an ice heart and I hate love because of it. They know who they are. Y'all, we know who they are. That was mad at me for that. But the older I get, the more I really want to point out just like how absolutely insane Brenda and Normie's relationship through Spider-Girl really is. It's not in a bad way. It's just if your friend was telling you this, like when I timeline this out, think of it as like your friend is telling you how they want to marry this great guy that they only met 5 months ago. And they're 18 and the guy themselves like maybe just turned 20. Just I'm throwing this like literally, like think of it. So anyway, yeah, cuz what I was writing, and this is like the thing is I was sitting here like free flowing writing this, where I was like, it's only been like 6-ish months, right? And then I was like, no, even shorter than that, because we don't start like, what if 105 starts at the beginning of basketball? Basketball season for high school generally starts in November. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and be like, yeah, beginning of October. That's fine. But the thing is we haven't even gotten to May's spring break yet. So, you know, and basketball season's still going on because there's actually an issue featuring some of that with Felicity. So that's maybe like we're maybe in March now if we really want to push it. That's not that long. And they maybe started, and honestly, truly, they met about probably a month into this, I would say. We can maybe give it 3 weeks. But yeah. I don't think so. Like, so really, like, in two, think of it, like, also about 6 weeks of this, too. Like, at least, like, a month to 6 weeks. Brenda and Normie didn't see each other, and she couldn't talk to him.
Right.
So, really, they maybe have had, like, 90 days. This is, like, 90 Day Fiancé. Truly. So, I get Normie going, what? To Brenda's, like, I'm going to pour my heart out and ask you to marry me. And him not knowing what to say and breaking it off. Now, I don't think we ever really fully understand why he broke it off. And I remember first reading this too, where I actually read this of like, he's actually confused about his feelings, because we do have a few issues where he has admitted to having feelings, at least to himself, for May. So he's not necessarily like 100% on Brenda. It's just he has other feelings for other people and he doesn't know yet. And so like to be like kind of presented this very big thing unexpectedly after everything that he's gone through in such a short amount of time is kind of crazy. So he's actually fairly reasonable and like wanting to back off. And I know I sound like an ice cold, no heart cynic. But it's just rushing into stuff like this is not always the best idea in most cases. And I don't know a single person my age, which I'm 30, where this has really worked out for them at that age.
Oh, trust me. Look, my mom got married like 5 months after her graduation to my dad. And they lasted 30 some odd years, but obviously they're divorced now. That's not common.
Yeah, no, it's not. It does happen, but it's not
right.
common. And that's kind of, I guess, my thing is, it's just the older I get, the more I'm like, yeah, this wasn't gonna work. And then two, like, just from Brenda's side, I understand where Brenda's coming from too. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here like I'm not bashing her. The thing is, though, is that she's 18. At least the last time we got her age, she was like 18. We might be able to push her to 19, but I still kind of in that mindset she's 18. She just got out of who knows how long that relationship was with that guy, that douchebag, that she was with before, but like that was clearly abusive. We kind of get hints that, like, you know, just from us knowing her dad in the 616, that like I don't think she had a very healthy relationship with her father or with parents in general. And two, when you think of it like this, like, okay, they met in group therapy. We don't know if she's getting specialized help or anything
Hopefully.
and working out. Hopefully, all we know is she goes to group. And I can tell you right now, going to group isn't going to fix some of these obvious relationship issues she has that she has to kind of retrain herself on, because she just didn't have the healthiest example. She didn't know. She got caught up in an abusive relationship, which does a lot to your brain and reasoning skills. And of course, she's an 18-year-old girl. And unfortunately, just society in general, especially during this time, didn't really like, it wasn't very like, you didn't see a very healthy relationship on TV or in media either. So the thing is this is the first guy she's met that essentially is like giving her autonomy and treating her with respect and, you know, not hitting her. So yeah, she wants to, you know, she thinks
She
like,
likes it.
hey, yeah, well, you know, she, of course she loves him. Like, I mean, she
The best.
like, this is a healthy relationship for her, but she hasn't been in it long enough to really know, like, they haven't been in a relationship at this point long enough to really know each other either.
Right. And I think Normie, you got to give Normie props here for taking the step back and saying,
Yeah.
oh, hey, you know, I am struggling with my day to day. Let's, I do care for you, but I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
And it's okay to not be ready for things, you
No,
know,
yeah.
when
I mean,
you're
like,
that
well,
age.
and this is the thing too, because we'll go through this and we'll see a complete 180 from Normie, which I have a theory on, and we'll talk about it when that gets to that. But it's yeah, no, because like we're seeing here where he's thinking pretty rationally and reasonably about it,
Right.
because this is very sudden and this is very rushed. Which I know, like, in terms of a fan reading this monthly, that probably didn't feel rushed, but like thinking of it like, you know, the way I'm trying to here, trying to establish a timeline, trying to kind of put everything into that context and look at the bigger picture, this isn't a lot of time. Because it's one of the things I think I've said multiple times is that May herself, out of the, what, was it 13 or 14 years of almost continuous run, did a lot in basically a year and a half.
Yeah. It's very much like, yeah, I mean, maybe almost 2 years, but
Yeah.
it's a
We could even
very,
stretch it to 2.5 technically, but
it's a,
like we really, like, that's pushing it.
yeah, it's a very stretched out timeline. It's not, um, it's not as hyper focused, obviously, as the Lee Ditko run was, where it
Yeah.
was almost real time. So you gotta view it as wonky time. And I
Yeah,
always,
it is. It's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, obviously, but it's just, you know, when you're trying to think of it in the grand scheme of things, this has only been, you know, we're only at like her maybe the beginning of the 6-month mark tops for her. Like, this is 6 months into her hero career.
yeah.
She has made
So
quite a name for herself.
yeah. So yeah, you've got another major point that I want to tee you up on. So there's a joke, obviously, with the wardrobe malfunctions
Yeah.
that's made in this issue. And Kelly, give your mini rant on the Janet Jackson joke.
Yeah. I'm. Oh yeah, because I'm still on the.
Stream of
My notes are
consciousness.
still on the Brenda. Like, it's a long thing. I do at least want to say before I jump to the other thing is that, like, again, I do feel Brenda about
Right.
rejection, because it hurts, especially when it's not a toxic rejection. It stings, because she's probably feeling very, very vulnerable and very hurt right now. Anyway,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, I do want to point out the Janet Jackson joke that happened with the wardrobe malfunction. It is dated.
Okay. For
And it was okay. Like, it sucks, but it's, you know, with everything with the Free Britney stuff, obviously the Janet Jackson stuff over the years has kind of gained traction as well. But it,
so for those that don't know what this is in reference to, the the duo were performing at the Super Bowl.
well,
And
you say duo, so I haven't said Justin Timberlake. So
Oh,
basically, Justin Timberlake and Janet
yeah,
Jackson were at the Super Bowl in 2004, I want to
yeah.
say.
This was
Yeah.
2004.
And so during their show number, what it looked like to me, what I remember is it looked like maybe she was supposed to have a costume change and maybe he was supposed to rip off her clothes into a costume change. But what, instead of clearly grabbing the piece he needed to, he grabbed the whole piece of the costume, revealing pasties. And now, of course, people kept saying originally, oh man, if she was wearing the pasties, she meant to. But here's the thing: when you're wearing a revealing outfit where maybe you can't wear a bra, sometimes you just wear pasties to keep
Yeah,
things
keep
from
things where
being
they're
too
supposed to be.
vulgar. Yeah. So that's
And it
that's
was,
more than
yeah,
likely what it was. Yeah,
yeah,
and
and it was supposed to be like the plastic piece,
yeah,
and
because it
supposed
was
to,
like a plastic piece that went into the cloth. It was
yeah,
very clearly it was supposed to be a wardrobe change, and then he did that, but like it created this huge scandal, and everyone blamed Janet when it was clearly Justin who did this. Now, whether he did it on accident or on purpose is left to be seen, because he
right,
kind of slipped out of that, going, I don't know what happened. Like, she must have did thing, which is why everyone says Justin Timberlake sucks. And that's kind of my rant that was here, is just he was really kind of trash during this time and only got a solo career because he trashed Britney Spears after they broke up, regardless of what
yeah,
happened there. And he was being a general jerk. And then, just because whenever I talk about this, I also have to talk about the fact that there was that time he promoted tequila that was overpriced and smelled like feet and also wasn't real agave, so it was fake. It is disgusting. And then his jean brand is itchy and not worth the money. And basically, just don't trust Justin Timberlake, guys. Just and then I wrote, also just want to remind everyone, because at the end, Fabian is not a good guy. Bad vibes all around, like Justin Timberlake. And this Justin Timberlake stuff continues in my stuff for a while, because I keep finding things that just remind me of Justin Timberlake as I'm reading. Also, too,
Brad Miller is a Justin Timberlake fan.
he is. But I will say this, because Normie, especially during this later half, where May kind of looks like Mandy Moore, Normie looks a lot like Justin, and it's one of the reasons why I say that the Osborne hair is ramen noodle hair,
Oh yeah,
because he looks a lot like Justin Timberlake from this time. I think Ron was a little influenced by that, which, look, he was like the best-selling solo artist, just came off a really successful boy band.
yeah.
Um,
Really successful boy band that he didn't see much money out of, thanks to Ron Perlman and his. That's a whole other.
they actually took him to court and won, versus
Yeah,
everybody else didn't even take him to court. So
right.
there's still that. Like, again, I like NSYNC. I don't have anything personally against Justin now, because he has tried to apologize for these things multiple times. But
Right.
during this time,
He, Justin Timberlake.
he
Justin.
was kind of a little bit of a brat, to
Yeah.
say the least. There's a lot of problematic things with how he got his fame. And I feel like I have to point that out, just because we are pointing out other dated references. And I know that, like, somebody new reading this might see that comment and go, ew, why is she saying that? That sounds so anti-feminist. That sounds so...
The first time anybody ever heard the phrase wardrobe malfunction was because of the Janet Justin
Well,
incident. Like it became part of the.
unless you've been around the stage.
That's true, but what I'm talking about, like in terms of like the general public and the general populace, and it being inserted into general lexicon, like normal, average, everyday people didn't think of wardrobe malfunctions in general. I mean, it became that became a phrase that was very much because of that incident, and it's tragic to look back on through hindsight and see how much it destroyed Janet's career, because she was incredibly talented as an artist, and so
too, look at how that media treated every female celebrity, like Lindsay Lohan, Paris Hilton, Britney Spears. Janet Jackson, Jessica Simpson, which we'll talk about in the next issue, because again, there's another topical reference that just didn't age well. And yeah, so it's a that time was really rough for a female artist or a female celebrity, and I'm still a little like confused as to why. Personally, because
I
like it's almost this weird flip, and then all of a sudden, after the paparazzi finally got like legality in certain states and couldn't follow them as much, then all of a sudden it stopped.
Oh, it got incredibly pervasive, and we could probably spend another
I
hour
know, but you
talking
know what I
about
mean?
it
Like, it was
too.
just very hyper focused on females.
Yes, very much so.
Weird.
I don't have much to add to that wonderfully, articulated rant about
Yeah,
that. A couple of
that continues to bleed in through all my notes because it
so
does something really.
thanks to Vickman, he did confirm that my letter is actually in this issue.
Did you want to read that letter?
I don't
You
have
just want
it.
to talk about?
Uh,
Oh, okay.
I don't have the individual issues with me, so I
Okay.
was just reading this on Marvel Unlimited. So this was my first letter, I think, in Spider Girl. If I'm remembering, I'm doing this off memory.
Mhm.
This was the point where Tom was really involved in the Spider Girl message board, and as a result, you could write letters to Spider Girl on the message board, and he was posting them on from the message board onto the letters page. So it was really really cool. First time I ever got published in a Marvel comic, so that's very very awesome. Um, I love this cover. This is one of my all-time favorite Spider Girl covers. And normally I've made fun of certain people in the past for talking about covers, but hi, Brad. Um,
We're gonna.
but this, I mean, yeah, we're going to talk about that cover in a minute. Um, but I just love the Big May and her fighting the goons, and it does actually reflect on the issue a little bit, and it's not overly postery, but you could make that a poster.
Yeah.
It definitely. I remember when I spoke with Ron in the past and Tom, they talked about how this is like the textbook example of what they were looking for in covers, where they reflected the character and still could be like a poster type thing. They could still try to turn around and mass market it. They just never did. So, we'll see Handsome Richie for the first time. This is his first appearance, if I'm recalling correctly, and we see him on and off through the rest of the run into and through Amazing. Black Tarantula is a creep. The artwork is great. And like I say, I love the Giant May here. Excellent work by Ron and Sal. They did a fantastic job. The script is great.
Yeah.
Also, Lady Doc Ock continues her streak and impresses here. She just continues to completely, overpower May. And this is the first time May's really been tested. And I said that a little bit last episode, but we'll continue to see that. And it also makes the payoff later on so satisfying.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, great issue. Great letter. I will, when I get back to Houston, when I'm around all my comics, I will go through and look at this letter. But I think I've got some letters later on. I think either next episode, probably. I think. So there's several letters that kind of pop in and out throughout the run between here and 100. So super excited about that. All right, so Kelly, you've got Spider Girl 73.
I do, and because I was also reading this through Marvel Unlimited, I was not able to get the title of this issue name because I don't believe it's in that beginning splash page. Because if you noticed, where they clearly have their everybody's names that worked on it, they're not there, and it hasn't been scanned that way for Marvel Unlimited in a very, very, very long time. I don't know why the unfinished page got scanned in, but that happened. So anyway,
it is weird, isn't it?
well, and it's been that way. Like for that particular issue, I know for a fact it has been that way since 2010. I don't know why. it's how it got scanned. So Spider-Girl 73 cover date is July 2004, released May 5th, 2004, and it's also this poster. Have I told that story on here?
I
How
don't
I got
think
this poster?
you have not. And also, I'll read the letter later because Vinkman sent me a picture of it. So thank you,
Yay!
Vinkman.
Awesome. All right, we'll do that at the end
Thanks,
of the
Self-Love.
reviews. Bye, Slowflow. But just quick, too long, didn't read thing. I went on a date with a guy from OK Cupid, and apparently after our second date, where he started to kind of creep me out a little bit because I like Normie felt rushed and started backing off. He had bought this along with a couple other things because at the time I did not have Last Hero or Last Planet Standing, and I had talked about it because this guy was an aspiring comic book writer. And on my birthday, about 6 months after I stopped dating this guy, a birthday package shows up with this poster framed and the comics and a very cool birthday card from Mayday herself, but was very clearly written by someone who never read the comics. And I didn't know who had sent it to me for almost 2 years. And it was that guy.
Wow.
Which some people have said I need to like burn that poster and not keep it, but like I'm not gonna just
It's
throw
a
Spider-Girl stuff away.
like it's a cool cover.
It's not. I'll be honest. It's not my favorite cover. If I had a choice in it, I would have picked something from the later. Yeah.
Good job, Neil.
Thanks. I would have picked out something from a little later on, or even like the the poster I call the Americana poster.
Yes.
But I appreciate that I got this. I'll put it that way. It was pretty cool. So since this is technically the last recording before my birthday memory featuring Spider-Girl. So to the review.
All right, to her review. I'm going to mute.
Yeah. So we start off with Brenda screaming that all men are jerks and smashing things left and right. And again, topical for the time, but poorly aged joke about Jessica Simpson here. And as I said earlier, early 2000s media was really mean to female pop stars for no real reason. Spider-Girl tries to calm Brenda down to explain what, to try and get her to explain what happened. Brenda advises she poured her heart out and he dumped her, which ouch. And like I said, it's like, I've been there. It sucks. Getting rejected sucks. So May, being 16 and wanting to be there for Brenda the best way she knows how, tells Brenda, what she wants to hear, which, is Normie loves her and something has to be going on if he's pushing her away. And as I wrote here, it's only been less than 5 months since they've been dating and she dropped off the face of the earth for a chunk of it due to her prison sentence / new work group. And this might seem a little sudden. I don't know. Obviously, I know nothing about real romance. But as Spider-Girl soothes Brenda's broken heart, Whedon and Kane walk through, and Whedon freaks that Spider-Girl is there as she isn't welcome after letting Black Tarantula get away. Fabian slipping through the team's fingers and not getting caught put Whedon kind of on the outs with, and this is where I'm still not 100%, like, is he just with the government or is he like a fraction of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Is that ever...
I think he is a liaison between the FBI and S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay. I think his team is a team that is controlled by the government, so under the jurisdiction of the FBI, but they work routinely with S.H.I.E.L.D.
Gotcha. Okay. But anyway, the government is threatening to pull the funds and basically end the operation. And Whedon's pretty stressed out by that, and so therefore, instead of maybe thinking about working on the team's communication skills that are lacking, he blames Spider-Girl, because of course. So Spider-Girl leaves and gets a call from Shazbro? Because I'm sitting here going, right?
Yeah, I think
I
it
don't
says,
know.
bro. Says,
Is
bro.
it
Ron, please,
Chesbro?
for the love of God,
Chesbro?
come help us with this pronunciation.
Yeah, we don't know. We weren't taught English in school.
We were some of us took hooked on phonics, and some of us didn't. Anyway,
I had hooked on phonics. It doesn't help.
I didn't.
Anyway,
Pronounced Chasbro.
Oh, okay. So Chad bro.
Chadbro.
Chaz bro. She tries to. Chasbro tries. Basically, Chasbro calls and she tries to grill him again on what he's been warning her about when it comes to Normie, but Chasbro says she needs to focus on finding Lady Octopus first, which, ugh. May knows that they're baiting her, but she feels like she just can't not play in that game. She has to figure out what's going on. Her curiosity is just too great. May changes out of her poor rags and goes to the spider shop, finding a particularly iconic new suit to wear for the time being, a very sleek black costume. Too bad it's not in her size or any of the costumes that were in the shop. How odd. May runs into Chris, and Chris tries to ask her to the basketball game, but May's spider sense goes off, and she makes a quick getaway, saying that he can meet up with her and her friends later. May changes into what's left of her suit and finds the claw, a cat burglar that burglar that looks almost exactly like Batman the Animated Series / original Teen Titans cartoon Nightwing on a budget. And then I have a very weird rant about how I guess in this universe, Lena Kyle took Dick Grayson in maybe instead of Batman, and he even has plans with a redhead later, so that this has to be Dick Grayson's Marvel counterpart. And then I was like, should I make it clear that I'm joking?
I mean, you're clearly joking. Okay, there's no. Listen, comic gators, you don't. She's not a fake geek girl. She knows what she's talking about. Like, stop.
No, I'm totally a fake geek girl. But yeah, no, totally. But again, he does though. He really does look. He looks just like the Teen Titans Nightwing.
It does look
recolored.
Like new Batman, the new Batman Adventures Nightwing. It really does.
Anyway, the Claw is really annoying and keeps flirting with May to throw her off, but she's too far annoyed at his arrogance for that, and someone watching them fight on a rooftop calls it in, but the police scanners make it sound like she's fighting Lady Ock, and Whedon, because he's listening in, hears about it and assumes Spider-Girl was totally spying on them and trying to get to Lady Ock first. And yeah, Raptor's right, all men are jerks here. Meanwhile, the Claw sings his theme song, because he created a theme song for himself, to some ladies who are totally buying into it, which yikes. And then I also wrote, is he also Justin Timberlake? So yeah. So anyway, this
Claw.
This act of weirdness enrages May, because she's getting fed up that a guy like this is somehow getting the best of her, which I don't blame her for being upset. She has other places she could be, other things she could do that are far more important than this loser. But she's just about had it, she's about to really just let Claw have it. And Claw gets caught by Whedon's team. And of course, Claw thinks that this is totally intentional, and not that Whedon thought he was Lady Ock, which Whedon does not let anyone know, because a win is a win. So Whedon again jumps through some mighty big hoops to think that Spider-Girl did all of this to humiliate him. And May swings off to head home when she gets a call again from her stalker, Chesbro. He advises Spider-Girl to check in on Normie tonight, but doesn't tell her why. She listens and goes to the hospital to meet Normie and talk. May tells Normie she's heard about the breakup and she thinks Normie needs to be honest with Brenda about whatever is going on or if there is somebody else, and there is a pregnant pause. And then someone interrupts them looking at each other awkwardly in the doorway and says there's always been someone else, which is news to Normie, who literally asks this person who they are. And we get a splash page with a blonde woman who no one knows. And she says she's Normie's wife. The end for now.
Da, da, da. Yes. If I had the board, I would have played it. But yeah, this issue. Let's talk
This
about
issue.
It. All men are jerks, and
yeah, I think that's fair. Honestly, that's the unofficial title of this issue. All men are jerks.
Yeah. I think it actually is the official title.
Is it? Well, that's what I'm saying, because like that's what's on this, but like because I was reading it before I started work, so I didn't have my floppies.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that All Men Are Jerks is actually the name of the book.
There you go.
In fact, when I was looking at the info for the when it was released, So again, the Brenda stuff is she has every right to be upset. Whedon is a jerk. Like Whedon, he straight up is a jerk. That guy, goes out of his way to be an absolute, complete, and utter jerk. So
it's almost as if he can't accept his own self-criticism, that he knows he knows his team isn't perfect. He knows things aren't going right. But instead of like actually having the leadership skills to go, maybe I need to work internally. No. Which I know he doesn't know Spider-Girl's age, but no, I'm going to blame a 16-year-old girl for all my life problems. Like he's a coward.
The whole bit with, Quickwire, we already know he's a jerk because he's like, you lose a couple more stitches and you can he can arrest you for indecent exposure.
Well, like that.
It is rags, okay, at this point. Her costume
at this point, that is not a costume anymore. I don't even know how it. Honestly, I don't even know how it is surviving.
And I will say this, Kane. I like Kane's characterization here because he's like, dude, like you're normally on your game. Like, what is going on? Like you're. He's somewhat critical, but he is, I think, genuinely concerned about May. Uncle Kane is starting to come out here, where it's more like Uncle Kane.
I think there was always a little bit of that kind of like he's always had an affection for her,
right?
And I think that this is just more like he is seriously worried because this should have been easy for her.
This should have been like Tuesday.
But she's and we could get in. I guess we could get into it like with part of my thoughts. Like she's so concerned about what's going on with Normie because she's clearly getting baited into it. That no, she's not on her game, and then her suit is messed up, which and she's constantly being kind of manipulated into going, are you sure you don't want help? Look, we're offering you help. We're make a deal with the devil. Make a deal with the devil, which I know that I shouldn't be using that phrase Spider-Man, but here we are. Because that's essentially what it is. She knows that if she aligns with Black Tarantula, it's not going to be good news. Like she knows that, but she's constantly being like beaten into, and it's almost very calculated in to have to basically have her arm twisted to say yes. Like she is being harassed into saying yes. She's being coerced. And like it's not great. And so that's kind of what's going on, and it does mess with you. Like when mind games are being played, like they're being played with her, you lose your focus, and that's kind of what's happened here. She's lost focus, something that should be able to get to her, which I also think too, like I I don't remember if it's said, like maybe we'll see it, but I want to say Claw is in Chesbro's pocket too. Like this is also a part of that plan.
I think he comes up later,
Yeah,
if
but
I'm
you know what I mean?
recalling
Like I
correctly.
think
Yeah,
he got paid to do this.
yeah. I don't know if he was paid specifically for this one, but I know he's paid later because he
Yeah.
shows back up later, and I think he is part of Chasbro's uh, uh, like kind
I
of
yeah,
list of stooges.
I think that that's kind of what, like, maybe like we're just not supposed to know in this issue, but we kind of realize it later on. But you know, I kind of just want to go ahead and say that because it is pretty clear rereading it. Or at least like I think anybody, even a first time reader in today's world, because like even though this was kind of not a common trope, this is almost a normal trope now in some teen movies because we've kind of gotten a little bit bigger on like, hey, this is coercion, this is abusive, don't do it, and this is very much what's going on right now. So it's just
Yeah, it wasn't as
bleh.
prevalent back then. Ryan
Well, it
does
was
make a
prevalent, it just wasn't being discussed.
right, exactly. Ryan does have a name meaning for Chasbro, a
Okay.
very spiritual person who often relies on intuition for decision making.
And he's somebody who's messing with May's intuition.
There you go. He's an inverted. He's a funhouse mirror version of his own name. There you
There
go.
you go.
So yeah, like I say, apparently Weed is always drinking coffee from Cafe Indigo. So that's a nice little Easter egg that Ron likes to throw in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I say, I'm not. I don't have a ton of things to say. I mean, Claw is pretty harmless. I remember being really confused and shocked at the end of the issue, like maybe because I hadn't read, Green Goblin or anything like that. So I was like, does she show up like in a previous DeFalco thing that I never read? But no, she's a new character.
Yeah.
So Normie's wife, and so we'll learn more about them in the next issue. But yeah, that's all I've got to say.
Yeah, and I think I pretty much said, well, something that Chesbro does say is just like, when May is saying, you have to tell me what's going on, like what's going on
Right.
with Normie. And he's just like, well, it has something to do with someone beyond the grave, which we find out later why. And, again, he never truly lies, but he twists what he's saying to make her worry in a wrong direction, if that makes sense. Like he's playing mind games with her. And it's very weird that because it's Normie's a pawn in this. Like, and he doesn't know it. We'll find out in the next issue kind of that he is a pawn here. And so I think that like maybe I should put a pin in that part and we'll talk about it overall after the next issue. But like this is a really sinister plan that I know Skip kind of went over my head when I was first reading this as a teenager, but like the older I get and the more that like you see things, like this is
It's profoundly layered, and the older you get when you're reading
yeah.
this, like when you're reading this as a youngster, like I 100% agree with you.
But this is, I mean, it's almost downright sinister.
Yeah,
But
very
like
much so.
it's very clear that they've been following her for a while.
That they know everything, that almost everything there is to know
Yeah.
about her. Yeah.
Almost knowing her crush on Normie. Honestly.
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
weird.
you know what I mean? Like, and that's what makes it so, it almost like it makes me feel gross because it makes me feel like that is really intrusive.
Right.
And it's almost like I said, like this is the most sinister thing I think she's really truly been had to deal with at this point.
But yeah.
But yeah, so with that, let's go into Spider-Girl 74, aka Buried Alive. Cover date is July 2004, and it was released May 19th, 2004.
2 weeks after the previous issue.
Now, I'm wondering, because May 5th, would it have just been like maybe there were 2 in 1 month because of Free Comic Book Day, and maybe they could get sales by
That could have
releasing one
been.
earlier?
That could have been. It's weird. I'll go back and look because there. I think they did this the previous year, where for some
They did,
reason
yeah.
in July they did 2 issues in July. I
That's
don't.
because they came out in May, and I want to say that this is around the time where they started doing Free Comic Book Day in May to
Right.
line up with the big Fox blockbusters.
Yeah, the either with Fox or Sony. Yeah, because it was
Yeah.
usually the first whoever had the first weekend, whether it was X-Men or Spider-Man. That's a great question. That's I gotta we gotta save that for whatever we have Tom and Ron on because that's
Yeah.
and it also explains too why Pat is doing more fill-in issues, even though
Yeah.
he's no longer the regular penciler.
Well,
And
too, I mean,
obviously,
this is kind of that's transition time too from
yeah,
the April Fool's Day situation.
yeah,
So
that's true.
So yeah, so on to Buried Alive. So Spider Girl saves him, and of course this is another issue that is drawn by Pat, by the way. So Spider Girl saves the day, saves a man. She does save the day, but she saves a man from his car after a wreck and senses Kane is watching her. So she confronts Kane on the rooftop, and Kane tells her to back off Lady Ock on Whedon's orders, and May isn't going to walk away from that so easily. She says she might have a way to bring in Black Tarantula and Lady Ock to Whedon if they want to team up, but Kane stresses for her to back away. Dark Devil pops in, quite literally, and starts to back May up, advising she always comes out on top. There's no reason that she needs to be listening to Kane. But May is kind of like at this point, it just seems like a spat, a family spat, and May isn't here to really pay attention to them arguing about it. Especially when they're acting like she's not there. She says she can make her own decisions and leaves them to continue bickering. Meanwhile, at Nelson and Associates, Faki is going over whatever arranged marriage documents that Alon Dewan thinks she has with Normie. Apparently, Norman Sr., aka Normie's grandfather, who had no parental rights in any country to legally do an arranged marriage with Alon's father in San Mardillo when they were toddlers, apparently arranged a marriage in San Mardino when they were toddlers. Is San Mardino like in Argentina? Is this like a Nazi thing? Is this a Hydra thing?
Could be.
I
I
just
do
want to throw.
know.
I mean, this is a goblin cult thing.
I'm almost
Which
positive the family was part of the Order of the Goblin.
they're clearly a part of the goblin cult. I think her father name is referenced somewhere, like just as a player in the cult. I don't think like it was a major character, but I want to say in the 616 when we get to that story, I do want to say
I think it was established in Revenge of the Green Goblin in the 616.
Yeah.
And because they were an offshoot of the Scryers, they were a more like radicalized version of the Scryers where they were devoted to the goblin specifically.
Well, they are a car. I would say that they probably are some crime cartel in South America. But again, it's just goblin cults arranging marriages for toddlers and then not telling anybody.
Oh, Norman, what are you doing? You're such a weirdo.
So Foggy is pretty confident that no judge in the U.S. would ever uphold this, because it's not lawful. But to Alon, that doesn't really matter, because in her country, city, whatever, because we don't really know what San Mardillo is. We don't know if it's a city, country, etc. She's like, it's legal and it's recognized, which all right. May calls Normie and kind of gets the rundown on this. She sees Felicity and asks Felicity to do her a favor and get some research on not just Lady Ock, but also Alon. And Felicity is a little upset at May, as it seems to her like May is only ever her friend when she needs something, and says she'll help, but she needs a favor first. Felicity asks May to rejoin the basketball team and give Midtown High a win so Flash doesn't lose his job. May protests because it's not fair to the players, but Felicity thinks that the ends will justify the means and walks away. Canis gets a cell phone thrown to him in a jail cell and gets an offer he can't refuse. May is talking to her parents about what Felicity said and how guilty she feels about letting Coach Thompson down. But her parents agree that she made the right choice in quitting the basketball team. Excuse me. Excuse me, guys. I had to sneeze. Anyway. Yay, allergies. But where was I? I lost my place. So anyway, May is talking to her parents about what Felicity said and how guilty she feels about letting Coach Thompson down, but her parents agree that she made the right choice in quitting the basketball team. May goes to the game to watch and feels horrible about them losing, but she knows she made the right decision. After the game, the gang is talking about the massacre that just happened on the field, on the court, and again, because I've talked about this before, but I just want to mention that I have never played a game in my life that had those high of a numbers on on the screen, because generally
that's college level. That's college level numbers.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what you see in college.
But again, generally the ball should be hard to keep throwing that much. Personally, it should be a lot more defensive. So even though, we are seeing that it's, Midtown is losing 62-73, they at least got the basket 30-ish times, which is pretty great for a high school team.
Yeah.
And then again, like I said, they need better defensive players, and May wasn't a defensive player because she was a power forward or a point guard, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So she was more offensive than defensive. So again, this is not her fault. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. She's more of a shooting guard. This is no.
So anyway, Brad is a jerk and seems mad at May for the game being lost, and May beats herself up about it, and her taste in guys, like she does every single time she beats herself up about anything else, and how she feels like she's on a losing streak everywhere. Maybe just don't pick such crappy guys. Anyway, meanwhile, on the way to the courthouse, or maybe after, I think this really, because it says that it's on the way to the courthouse, but it's also nighttime, so I really feel that this is probably after the court appointment would be better. With Canis, Lady Ock busts them out of the transport vehicle. Chesbro calls and tells May all about this, and she goes she goes to get her suit and goes to check it out. She follows them into the sewers and fights Lady Ock. Lady Ock starts bringing the house down, so to speak, and is tearing up the sewer tunnel until it collapses and is nothing but rubble. May gets trapped in, and while it's a miracle she wasn't crushed to death, she can't really tell which way is up or how to get out. She climbs and crawls and pushes her way towards something, trying to get out, but she just can't seem to find, a way to kind of get out from under this. May can't stop coughing from all the dust and debris in the air, and she's getting exhausted from pushing rubble off and moving through this chaos. She keeps promising herself that she'll take a rest after the next move, next inch, but she knows she's lying to herself, because if she doesn't keep moving, she'll be dead. She's getting weak from exhaustion, but carries on and keeps going, determined to make it out alive. But when she nods off for a second in exhaustion, she jolts awake, and, that kind of scares her that she almost just passed out like that. So it gives her the adrenaline to keep going, and she suddenly hears someone calling for her, and it just helps, with her adrenaline, that she's able to make it through. Dark Devil is here to help her. Yay! And only in typical Dark Devil fashion, as soon as she's safe and realizes that she's going to be okay, Dark Devil starts berating her about how insane chasing Lady Ock was. He bruises Spider-Girl's ego a bit as he tends to, and tells her to head home. Spider-Girl then gets a call from Chesbro as soon as Dark Devil leaves, and he plays into he plays like he was worried he couldn't reach her. And May, still caught up in her emotions here, makes a decision. She will take Black Tarantula's help. Chesbro is delighted to hear that and immediately tells his companion in the room that their plans are all coming together. And that person is Elon. The end for now.
Da, da, da!
Da, da, da. Yeah. So yeah.
Mayday, no!
Technically, we can blame this decision on Dark Devil
It's all Dark Devil's fault. Uh,
because he
Dang
was
it,
being a jerk.
Riley. Don't have to be a jerk. So, all right, my thoughts are pretty brief here. This is an interesting cover to me. I don't know if she's ever used the spider signal, but I like the way that the spider signal is being used with these two thugs. Very much it does not have anything to do with the issue at hand, but it's.
I like this cover better.
I like this cover better. I like the way the shadows, and the inversing of the Spider Girl costume. Great, great drawn issue by Pat. He does an incredible work here. I think him and Sal were on a very good wavelength at this point. Sal had done several of his issues here, and he's been the inker pretty much all four. He's been the inker for all four of these issues. Does a really great job. According to Marvel Unlimited, that Al did the cover inks, but I'm not sure on that. So I mean, Ron, if you are watching this later on, or if you're watching us live later,
I mean, when they updated the website, they didn't update the errors that they had made throughout their original scanning. So
yeah, so I'm running an iOS beta right now on my iPad, so I have not updated to the latest beta, which means I haven't updated my apps yet.
So can I ask you?
Yes.
Do you still see? Because I will say the one fix I did notice is that the covers are finally right. Because as you know, looking at Marvel Unlimited before they updated, there were two covers that were very clearly X-Men, Ultimate X-Men, for no good reason.
Yeah.
Is that still there, or did it actually somehow manage to get fixed? Because I can't understand how that wasn't coming from the source file.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see that when I was scrolling through recently, but I do know
maybe they did fix it just before they did the full update, because they did fix it. I will say that they fixed that issue where it was glitching out and the tiny covers, because once you clicked on it, it would show the right cover,
right? But it was
the details. But for some reason, if you were just scrolling, it would have Ultimate X-Men. It was, I can't remember the issues, but it was two issues, and then one was completely black at some point.
Yeah.
It was very strange. They needed to update. I know that, but
it's still weird because most of the issues, if you're right now, if I'm looking through it, all of them are the non-trade dress covers.
Yeah.
From pretty much the end of Marked for Death, or halfway through Marked for Death, all the way through to pretty much the end, except for 75. 75 has all the trade dress on it in the thumbnails. I don't get it either. It's they obviously released the trade dressless covers with solicitations, and so that's what they were basing these thumbnails on. It's a weird quirk, but yeah, on Spider Girl in particular, they don't the later issues don't have the trade dress and stuff on it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I do also want to say, these were some of the first scanned comics for Marvel Unlimited. So that is one of the reasons why, if you are on Marvel Unlimited, you might see things not be up to snuff with a newer comic.
Right.
One of the major draws, so what I think is funny, is a part of this big update, they also put a new online only, unlimited only comic featuring Jeff the Land Shark. Which, heck yeah, I'm all for. But the original comic to do so like that, and the original comics to try and draw you in to the app originally in 2010 was Spider-Girl and MC2.
Yes.
it's
And
a little. I don't know how I feel about the fact that they're like, let's try this again, but this time with a cute animal.
they also, the other big thing I do know that they added to this was you can finally have unlimited downloads offline.
Well, and that was a major part of this, and also to get the servers up to snuff.
Yeah, because I mean it had been struggling, and then especially when they decided to go to 3 months for new issues instead
It
of
was
6.
overloading it. Yeah, and
It,
I'm totally like I'm fine with it. Again, I think my major thing is just I don't like the new interface look. I don't like the
yeah,
fact that we lost all of our
I'm
data
still
and we weren't told that was going to happen. And
right.
then I'm just a little mad that honestly the logo looks like crap.
I don't.
Um,
I thought the logo looked fine. See, for those that are watching
yeah,
us,
the original logo is great. I don't understand why they had to change it and like why it's so focused on the U when it used to be focused on the M for Marvel.
and the book, the book
Yeah,
aspect. It just it doesn't make
anyway.
any sense.
Anyway,
But we'll digress on that.
yeah.
Yeah, I like the cover. I think I like how I kind of now looking at it, I like how she is totally trying to get under Normie's skin, and Normie's being pretty cool as a cucumber.
I don't think he knows what to do. He's very lost. He's like, what the heck is
So
my life?
lost,
He's like, what is my life?
only
Why?
because yeah. Not only did I get this crazy hairstyle that I inherited from my father and grandfather, but now I
It's
have
just curly hair, guys.
and I have to have the last name Osborne. But like, what the crap, man?
But also, it's like he doesn't even like. We don't even get a reaction from him when like Foggy's like, okay, so this was like set up by his grandfather, and didn't tell anybody. And
Yeah.
like Normie's just like, seems like a Monday. Like it's just,
Seems like something my grandfather would do.
seems
Like
legit.
this seems legit. My grandfather is kind of a jerk. Like we have a love-hate relationship.
Like I'm glad he's
man.
dead. Like
So like I like this issue a lot.
Yeah.
The slice of life, the way I'm always down for more Daredevil Kane shenanigans. So I like how Kane's characterization is here. He really is trying to look out for May. He doesn't want her to get in trouble. He's also trying to keep his own bacon. Let's be real. He doesn't want to go back to prison. But his heart's in the right place.
Well, he's seeing the bigger picture here on this needs a win. And I don't think Kane's just thinking about himself either. Like, I think he's thinking about Brenda, and he knows that, Spider-Girl cares about Brenda.
Yeah.
And wouldn't want wouldn't want Raptor to have to finish out her sentence in jail. So it's,
Yeah.
It's just, she's going to be a 16-year-old. She's being told what to do. She doesn't like it. And the fact that she's also being like, she's being told what it is. Whedon's saying no. And she's not stupid. Like, she knows that that's being said because Whedon needs that win.
Right. And I think,
because that's why she offers. Funny. She offers, like, honestly, she already offered Kane to be a double agent to get Black Tarantula.
Yeah. Like, she's trying to help. Obviously, May is going to be making a very poor choice, and we'll definitely be exploring that in the next few issues.
It's still not her fault here.
No, I don't blame her.
I know I keep saying that, like, every time a poor decision is made, but like she knows it's bad, and she keeps getting hounded. So then, at the point where she is the weakest, where she is mentally fed up and done, and she needs help, she needs a break, her back is against the wall. Here's, like I said, that deal with the devil. She knows it's bad. And we'll see that later. She knows that this wasn't the smartest choice, but she had basically been coerced into thinking there was no other option.
Yeah.
Because everybody is being played to make this happen. Because think about it, like they're taking Normie away.
Right.
Because now Normie has to deal with this crap. So he's kind of distracted. So he really can't be there for her. Not that like he had been recently anyway, because the weird stuff that they had gone through and then him being shot, but like, you know, there's no way for her to even bounce this, go to him and talk about this like she used to, because he's tied up in Alon's legal crap trying to get
Yeah.
this marriage annulled. And that clearly, as we see by that last page, is a part of the plan. That was done for that part of the plan. Now, of course, we find out later Alon has her own plan within this, but that was a part of Chesbro's and Fabian's plan. Fabian, I fully believe, is aware of what's going on. Like, I think later on in the issues, he plays off like he wasn't fully aware of the manipulation, but I don't think that that's the case. I think he's very aware and very much approved this. And Chesbro is just kind of honestly like he's disgusting to me, because he's the one getting his hands dirty in this manipulation and kind of playing and pulling at the strings, like Ryan said, with his namesake. But it's yeah, this is going to be a very interesting turn for our hero. I don't really know what else to say to that. Like I said, like it's very clear that they've been watching her. They know her. This was severely premeditated. And, you know, I know that they might not know her age, but I have a feeling that they do. I believe that we get that discussion later, because I remember that grossing me out. It feels really icky, because it almost feels like they know she's a teenager and they are coercing her into doing their bidding.
Yeah, I agree with that. It really is icky when you look at it from this standpoint. Like, it really does not feel good for May. May is life is getting far more complicated than you really think. And this is just really layered, rich writing between by DeFalco and company, whether it's Pat or Ron drawing it. And everybody is hitting on all cylinders. It's really well done.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is a very, you know, this isn't just a story that like you might see in a newer comic book, where there'd be less layers and more action, because they think that like comic readers now don't want to sit and digest it and talk about it. This is something that like you do clearly talk about. And
this only happens in your Amazing Spider-Man's, Fantastic Fours, X-Men type comics, because it had the time to build the world.
Yeah. But I mean, sometimes even in today's Spider-Man, depending on who's writing it, it's not the most fleshed out. But you know, that's what I'm saying. It's like, this is just a fully fleshed out world, and you're not being spoon-fed this. Because like I said, this is stuff where like when we were teenagers and we didn't fully grasp the full picture here and really see the nuance in certain characters' intentions, and didn't have that life experience that we can relate to it, you didn't get it. And now, you know, we're coming back to it almost 20 years later, and reading it and going, oh God, that's disgusting. Like, they've been following her. They picked her. This has been planned.
Yeah.
Black Tarantula is actually like, you know, 10 steps ahead of everybody. Like, this is a thing. And they're manipulating her into being their puppet.
It's true. So yeah, no, I 100% agree. So real quickly, I was gonna go ahead and read that letter.
Yes.
That I wrote. It says, "Dear Tom and crew, I was a reader when this series first started, but due to store money concerns, dropped the book. Spider-Girl 67 makes me wish I hadn't. The standalone stories are what drive this book, with the subplots going and coming from issue to issue. The Davita Nancy subplot was handled nicely, with Nancy feeling alone and there was no place to turn to. Too bad May missed her own birthday party. The thoughts of her feeling like she had to grow up are something that appeals to all girls when they reach that point. Excellent work on that one. The beauty hate stuff is interesting, and Courtney's foreshadowing of band anti-mutant views was a treat. I'm glad that the Sandra subplot isn't over. Howard got what he deserved, but May, with Peter's genes, still feels bad. It's a nice touch. And the new do, I love it. It looks great, and May looks more grown up. I like the homage to the first appearance of Mary Jane. Now, some questions. One, Jubilee is a member of the X people. Is she still a member of A-Next? Which I hadn't read A-Next, so you got to, give me a little credit. Concerning Buzz, was the fly paper a part of his original powers? And so I said Zach Spidey Joyner from Amarillo, Texas. Jubilee is currently a reserve member of A-Next, Zach, and the flypaper was always part of the Buzz's arsenal. So thanks for responding to me on that. A couple of cool names that I also mentioned that are on this letters page. Matt K, a.k.a. Venom, a.k.a. the mod from the message board, and then John Corner, a.k.a. the namesake of Chris, was also had a letter published in that issue. So that was issue 72. What? Where did Kelly go? Did we lose Kelly? I think we lost Kelly. No idea what happened.
Hey, sorry. I don't know what happened. It's like it's saying no internet, but that's weird.
That is weird. So
and I cannot hear you because it's past 10 o'clock. Give me 1 second.
Oh no. All right, so we got
There we go.
All right. I can hear you.
Yeah, that was so weird. I feel like someone reset the router on me.
Oh, no.
So
Oh,
we'll see.
No. That was weird.
It just keeps saying that there's no internet. I don't know why.
So I read the letter. I mentioned that Matt and John from the Spider-Girl message board were also on there, and they got red letters published too. So that was really odd, but we'll take some questions and some comments. I do want to mention we don't have any voicemails, but if you want to leave us a voicemail, it is 818-925-6631. And if you want to leave us emails, which we don't have any, makemymayday@gmail.com. That is Kelly. And then you can reach me, SpideyDudeRadioNetwork@gmail.com as well. Follow us on our social medias, like at MakeMyMayday on Twitter.
1 second. I'm going to jump back. I think it's back. Maybe. Let's see.
Allegedly, her internet is back. So
that's what I'm saying. So legitimately, somebody reset the router without telling me when they knew I was recording. Is what it seems like.
Oh, good Lord. Roommates.
Nope, never mind. Internet's down again. What the heck? All right, never mind. Keep going.
It's a Comcast issue. So thanks, Comcast. But yeah, no voicemails, no emails so far. Any final comments? Vigman said he sent an email today.
If it was after 10 a.m., it is not being read today.
Yeah. We will read it next episode, Vigman. So Ryan said he left one recently, but it maybe didn't go through. Go ahead and resend it to both. Like if you guys send like Kelly emails, like go ahead and CC me on it. That way we know we get it with the other ones. So that way, in case internet problems or something like that, I can always add it in, and so we'll go from there. We'll definitely read emails next episode. So yeah, do you want me to go ahead and do the next episode blurb, Kel? Well, what do you want? Or do you want me to?
Sorry, I can barely hear you. What?
Do you want me to do the next episode blurb?
Yes, please. Well, hold on. Let me see if I still have it pulled up.
Okay.
All right. It is not reset, so I do have it. So, next episode is going to be Spider-Girl 75. We're 3/4 of the way there on the original run,
Woo-hoo.
Which is crazy. So we're going to go through issue 75 to 79 next time we record. So we'll finish this story with a black tarantula completely next episode and see exactly who Alon really is, as well as some costume changes and new characters. It's a turning point for Spider-Girl and a lesson in knowing who you put your trust into, and May finding out exactly what kind of hero she really wants to become. I also want to at least mention that, again, we're not recording until probably the second week of October. I'm sorry about these extended breaks. This one is my fault, but it is because I need a much needed vacation. And so, yeah, so we will be back to start off the last quarter of the original run.
So Ryan's going to get us that Brad Miller melt thing going in a week or two. Sorry, guys, we didn't get to read your emails this episode. So Neil has a quick question. Would you read a Mayday / Jeff crossover about tackling a goblin cult?
I would, okay. When he first for the crossover, I would love a crossover with Jeff and Mayday, but I would mostly, basically what I'd want is like Gwenpool showing up into 982 with Jeff and letting May have Jeff as her emotional support land shark for a while, because girl deserves a break from everything she got put through. I'd like to have like a good fourth wall from Gwenpool. Because if anyone doesn't know, that character is named Gwyneth Poole, and she comes actually from our world, and is a, gets sucked into a comic, essentially. And so that's her wild romp. And since she originally did have Jeff the land shark, I would like to see her steal Jeff from Deadpool and go to 982 and just let everyone from 982 love on Jeff the land shark and see how cute he is, because they all need a break, and that would just be adorable. And because I'm kind of done with like the super high stakes things with them. I think I think they've been through enough.
Yeah. So Venkman says you absolutely deserve that vacation. Have a spooktacular birthday, Kelly.
Thank you.
So yeah, Kelly's gonna go celebrate her birthday. Meanwhile, I'm going to be wrapping up the first season of Spidey Experience. We're wrapping up the Nick Spencer run. That's a big milestone event, and then we will start headstrong into the Ben Reilly era. Oh God, we'll see how this goes. So the next recording here on the channel will be the latest episode of Spidey Experience. And then we will have our first episode of Voices from the Eyrie, a Gargoyles podcast, released on our front page of spidey-dude.com. So that is our newest show here on the network. Of course, you can always watch our other shows or listen to our other shows on your favorite podcatcher, like Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcasts, like our shows like Clone Saga Chronicles, that would be a good show to listen to if you've never read anything or been around Ben Reilly or anything like that. Spectacular Radio covers the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon. This show, Amazing Spider-Man Classics, cover the classic stuff for the Lee Ditko and Ramita eras. And season 2 is going to be coming very, very soon. Very excited about that. And so stay tuned for more on our Patreon page. We'll have some more stuff up there. And we'll be doing commentaries later on this fall. I'm thinking probably early November is when we're going to start doing that show and doing it just for the Patreon subscribers. So that is exciting to all that. So go to patreon.com/SpideyDude Network, become a member, and we will make that available to all our $5 tier subscribers. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that, and we will definitely see you guys in about a month, second week of October. Be sure to follow us on our socials. At Make My Mayday on Twitter, at Spidey Dude Radio on Twitter, at Spidey Dude Network on Facebook and Instagram. We will be utilizing all those things. You can follow Kelly at KMcDaniel28 on Instagram as well. Be sure, if you're listening to us on your favorite podcatcher, give us a 5-star review. Give us a like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. And yeah, so don't forget the notification bell as well. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you guys very, very soon here on Make Mine Mayday. Good night, everybody.